Welcome, everybody, to Wahoo's middle school gymnasium. Used to be the original gym, and we are looking forward to lady basketball. Try to make sure I'm on the right sports here as we continue on the other channel as well. You can go and find the wrestling tournaments that continue on all day today and tonight, and then the girls are wrestling tonight. Boys will be wrestling all day tomorrow. You can follow that also on Saunders County Online and Wahoo Public Schools YouTube. Well, I'm Kelly Johnson. Tonight we have the Lady Warriors taking on Arlington Eagles, and tonight's sponsors are Woodsmith Builders. We do want to say thank you to all the sponsors, a part of our broadcast, that we can continue on with the Athletic Booster Club. Say thank you to boosters like JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic and Acupuncture, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Again, tonight's game sponsor is Woodsmith Builders. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at what we're going to be seeing tonight. Now, we have on other channels, for example, Arlington earlier played against DC West, and you can watch that also on BSDN Live. So we do have, we go ahead here and take a look at our schedule. So it's a 3-3 versus a 3-2. Going to be a tough battle tonight. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the stats as we are just a couple minutes away from the start of the game. People look forward watching for the Eagles' points per game. Emmy Tim leading the way, 16.8 points per game is the leader there. Field goal percentage, Emmy Tim also 31% on the field goal. Rebounds per game, Macy Wolf leads the pack, 7.8, and then Macy Wolf also leads the way for assists per game at 3. Steals per game, that's Emmy Tim, 4.4. Blocks per game, Macy Wolf, 1.4. And we have the free throw per game percentage, Emmy Tim leading away at 76%. And three-point field goal percentage, that's also Emmy Tim at 27. So overall, during the season, Emmy Tim has received 84 points. So let's take a look here at some of the teams that they have faced. So the opponents they have played against include West Point, Beamer basketball, and they were able to win that 53-43. They won versus Lakeview, lost at UTAN. They also did win at Brownell Talbot. And then they pulled a loss at DC West. Tough game there for them. Let's go back and now take a look at what we're seeing with the Wahoo ladies. Again, they are 3-3 on the schedule. Leaders to keep in mind, Claire Emerson leading with 9 points per game. Addie Gregg has a 48% field goal range. Claire Emerson rebounds leader of 5.5 per game. Assists per game, Karen Eady, 1.8. Steals per game, also Karen Eady at 2.2. Blocks per game, Olivia Wesley, 0.5 blocks per game. And then free throw percentage, a leader for the Warriors is Karen Eady at 56%. 3-point field goal percentage, Erin Galladay out there at 38%. Claire Emerson has led the season with a total of 54 points. Over 2 minutes away Again, we work with the booster clubs and want to say thank you to all of them as we continue on. Tonight's game is sponsored by Woodsmith Builders, but we also want to say thank you to all of the sponsors that have helped in. They're helping pay for the scoreboard in the new gym, which is full of wrestling right now. And they had over 380 matches today alone for the ladies. And I believe just a little bit ago I went over and they had about 90 matches left. So then tomorrow is going to be a big day as the boys take the mats. And that starts at 10 o'clock, and they anticipate that running till about 5 or 6 tomorrow evening. But here we are with basketball, and let's go ahead and turn it to the stadium announcer.
Home of the Warriors, a special welcome to all of our guests from Arlington High School. Tonight's contest is sponsored by Woodsmith Builders. Thank you to Casey Klein's and Jerry Smith for their support of Wahoo Athletic Booster Club, Warrior Athletic Programs, coaches, and student athletes. The Trailblazer Conference, Nebraska Schools Activities Association promotes good sportsmanship by students, athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, ethnic, sexist, or other intimidating comments or actions directed at officials, students, athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and are grounds for removal from the facility. Fans, please rise and remove your caps as we stand and honor our flag and country with the playing of the national anthem. But now the starting lineup. First for the Arlington Eagles. Number 1, 5'6" sophomore. Number 2, a 5'6" senior, Amy Tim. Number 4, a 5'11" senior, Mason Wolf. Number 10, a 5'7" freshman, Ainsley Wolf. Number 12, a 5'3" freshman, Vinny Tim. Number 14, the 5'5" senior, Marisa Adams. Head coach for the Eagles, Hunter Wolf. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your Wahoo Lady Warriors. Number 0, the 5'6" senior, Addison Hancock. Number 2, the 5'5" senior, Aaron Galladay. Number 5, 5'6" junior, Olivia Wesley. Number 13, the 5'8" junior, Corey E. And number 25, the 5'11" sophomore, Claire Emerson, head coach for the Warriors, John Forbes. Ladies and gentlemen, let's play basketball.
All right, so the teams have been introduced, and we are ready to play some basketball. Getting the camera set up and making sure that everything runs nice and smooth, and you can get the best view of the house right here. So stepping up, Claire Emerson is going to be facing off against Macy Wolf for the tip-off. And here it comes. The tip is this, and won by Arlington. So Arlington hands that back over to Emmy Tim. Setting up, bounce pass underneath, but good hands and stolen away. They get it over to Galladay. So Aaron Galladay at the top of the key. Gets it to the near side to Wesley, back to the top, over to Emerson. Emerson back to Galladay. Galladay brings it to Wesley at the near side. Off to the far side as Hancock gets the block. Now we see driving in, Edie gets it across and saved by Galladay. Back out to Hancock, and then 3 seconds left. Hancock with a long three, and that one goes out of bounds. Shot clock violation. Good blocking skills by Arlington starting off right here. So we see the Warriors setting up a full screen, full court press, getting it in. Tim. Nice pass around to Finley 10, then to Wolf. Wolf back to Finley. Going to have to call them by their first names here. And then to the near side as Ansley Wolf gets it back out to Gracie Allen. Macy with a three-point, but it bounces out. Rebound by Galladay. Galladay sends to Wesley in the near side. Bounces, drives in the lane. Looking for help. Gets it back out to Galladay. Over to Emerson. Emerson passes it off to Edie. Edie gets it to Wesley. To Hancock on the near side. Hancock looking for help. Gets it out to Emerson. All the way over to Galladay. Drives in. Back to Emerson. Emerson driving in. 5 seconds left. Looking for help. And we get a jump ball called, and the possession arrow, I believe, is for the Warriors. But they only have 1 second left of the shot clock. So that's going to have to be a quick in and dump to do anything. Bounce pass underneath, puts up, and goes out. Shot clock violation. Again, second shot clock violation that they're calling. All right, so Emmy inbounds to Finley. Back to Emmy. Emmy working away, sends it all the way forward. One-on-one. Bounce pass back out to Finley. Ends up going out of bounds off of the Warriors. Stays with the Eagles. Macy Wolf to inbound. Macy looking, sends it in, and able to be grabbed by Emmy. Emmy with a three-point, and that is drained from deep. First points of the game right there. Galladay looking to drive to the near side, gets it over to Emerson. Emerson to Hancock. Hancock gets it back over to Wesley at the top of the key. Wesley sends it across to Edie. Edie drives in, looking for help. And we have a jump ball turnover to the Eagles. So we see Edie coming out. She's replaced by Addie Gregg. And then Addison Smart comes in, replacing Olivia Wesley for the Warriors. Deep throw in to Wolf. Looking for help. Passes it to the near side. Ansley gets the screen, drives in, takes a few steps. Rebound by Gregg. Gregg gets it over to the near side to, I believe that is Emerson, drives in. And that is an offensive foul, and that is going to be called against Claire Emerson. The first team foul, first personal foul. Turnover to the Eagles. 5:04 left of the first period. Inbound goes to Finley Tim. Back to Emmy, back to Finley. Finley loses the ball, and then going after the ball looks like we had Addison Smart facing off against Finley, and Addison was able to receive the foul, so now that was a turnover back over to the Warriors. First personal foul for Finley Tim. Inbound to Galladay. Galladay sends it over to Wesley. Wesley to Greg. Greg to Galladay. Galladay long three, and that one's just off the mark, and rebound by Wolf for the Eagles. Sends it all the way forward. And we see Finley Tim going in, and she draws the foul. Doesn't able to get it to drop in, but is able to go to the free throw line. First attempt is up, and that one just too hard, bounces back out. Here comes the second attempt. That is up, and that is good. 4-0, the Eagles lead. Galladay sends forward to the near quarter. Driving in, Smart goes in and gets the foul. So now two teams fouls and two personal fouls for Finley Tim. Galladay to inbound. Gets it out to Smart. Smart to Greg at the top of the key. Greg looking for help, back to Smart. To the near side as Edie gets it in underneath to Wesley. Stripped away by the Eagles. Gets it forward to Wolf. Wolf pulls back, looking for help. Sends it out to Emmy. Emmy drives into the lane. Feeds it underneath. Goes to Ansley Wolf. She puts it up and gets fouled. Does not go in, but she goes to the free throw line for two shots. That's the third team foul. Second personal foul against Addison Smart. First attempt is up, and that one rims out.
And number 22,
one more attempt. That one's up, and that one also rims out. Rebound by Mollender. Hits it over to Galladay. Galladay sends it to Hancock. Hancock driving into the lane, picks it up, looking for help. Loses control, and we have a jump ball. Possession arrow favors the Warriors. We're seeing the Eagles get their hands in there quite a bit in order to disrupt the travel of the ball. Hancock to inbound, gets it into Edie. Edie sends it to the top side. Back to Hancock. And Hancock takes a couple steps before it dribbles, and he's called for it. For the Eagles, Emmy inbounds, bounce pass underneath to Grayson Adams. Back to Emmy. Emmy drives across the timeline, driving in the lane. Sends it all the way across, and she is called for the travel. So turnover back over to the Warriors. 3:30 left in the first period. 4-0, the Eagles leading. Galladay comes in and giving Hancock a break. Emerson to inbound to Galladay. Driving into the lane, sends it to the near side. Tries to put it up. Goes out of bounds off of a block from the Eagles. Stays with the Warriors. Galladay out, inbound. Goes over to Wesley, then to Emerson. Emerson gets it back to Galladay at the top of the key. Now on the near side, Edie drives in. Picks it up. Sends it all the way out to Wesley. Wesley drives in the lane. Passes it back out to Emerson. Emerson right in the middle. Back over to Mollander. And then a short just inside the three-point line, but that one is short and goes a turnover to the Eagles. 2:54 left of the first period. 4-0, Eagles lead. Inbound goes into Pittman. Pittman gets it back to Emmy Tim. Emmy Tim gets bumped, calls a foul, and that foul is the first personal foul for Aaron Galladay. And that's the fourth team foul. Inbound gets blocked by Wesley. Stays with the Eagles. Wolf inbound, looking, sends it forward, gets it into Emmy. Emmy gets across underneath to Pittman, who puts it up and drops it in for two. On the far side, get underneath to Greg. Greg passes it over to Edie, who puts it up and draws the foul. So that's the third team foul and first personal foul. So that's the first personal foul for Ainsley Wolf. Karen Edie, first attempt is up, and that one is off the mark. Too far to the right. One more attempt. Getting the first score here. And the second one is good. Nothing but net. So Warriors on the board. Emmy sends it forward, and that one goes all the way to Ainsley Wolf. Called for the travel. Turnover to the Warriors. 6-1. Eagles leading. 2:17 left of the first period. Galladay across the top, looking for help, gets it back out to Smart. Smart tried the three, but it's rebounded by Timmy. Tim goes in, drives in, and is called for the offensive foul. Charging. And so that is her first personal foul. Wesley comes in. Galladay setting up the play. Gets it back over to Wesley. Wesley underneath the Greg, back over to Edie. Edie dribbles and then sends it across to Emerson. Emerson takes the three. That one bounces out and goes out of bounds. They say that was last touch by Galladay. And so it's an Eagle basketball. Emmy Tim to inbound. Count is clocking. Gets it in to Macy Wolf. Macy battle. Comes across, gets the screen, gets across the timeline. Sends to the near side to Pittman. Pittman crossed to Ainsley Wolf. Emmy Tim now, we're on the far side underneath Ainsley Wolf. Looking to drive and the turnaround. As she's doing the turnaround jumper, she gets bumped and the penalty gets called. And now that is 5 team fouls. First personal foul for Addison Gregg. Ainsley Wolf at the free throw line. First attempt. It's up, and that one bounces around, comes back out. Hancock comes in, replacing Karen Eady. Ainsley Wolf's second attempt is up. And that one rims around. Rebound by Claire Emerson. Hands it off to Galladay. Galladay sends it forward to Hancock. Hancock in the far corner takes the three, and that's long, but a good placement underneath. So Claire Emerson had a great placement, just not able to do anything with it. Goes out of bounds. Turnover to the Eagles. Emmy bounce pass underneath, hands it back off to her. Emmy drives in, feeds it over. She's called for the travel. So as fed over to Lauren Pittman for the layup, but she was called for too many steps. Does not count, and a lot of people upset on the Eagles side. Galladay gets across the timeline, sends to the far side to Wesley. Wesley picks up and gets away with a couple steps there. Going underneath, the rebound by Karen Eady. As she goes up, she gets fouled. So Karen Eady, first attempt is up, and that bounces around and drops in. Galladay is coming out, replaced by Nevaeh Molander. Second attempt, bounces around and drops in. Doesn't have to look perfect, just has to go in, right? So Emmy Tim backs over, sends it forward, gets it out forward to Mincer. Didn't call her name very much. Near corner for Pittman. The three is good. Warriors gives it near side to Emerson. Emerson looking for help. Gets it over to Galladay. Galladay back over to Eady. Eady sends all the way across. And that is the first period is complete. Arlington Eagles lead 9-3. Let's go ahead and say thank you while we have a minute to get everything set up for the second period. So let's go ahead and say thank you to sponsors like JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust. Tonight's game sponsor is Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth and Molly Construction. You can always watch or go back and rewatch on bsdnlive.com, Saunders County Online YouTube, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, and 99.3 FM, wahooradio.com. Well, we're about ready to get the second period started. Eagles leading 9-3. Offensive battle here. And the Eagles have the ball to start. So Macy Wolf stepped out to inbound. Sends in to Emmy Tim. Tim on the far side, back over to Macy. Macy gets it up to the top to Ainsley. Ainsley to Macy. Macy dribbles, gets the screen, Picks up, looking for help. Sends all the way across to the near side to Finley, Tim. Bounce up pass underneath, and that is to Grace Adams. Adams sends it over to Ainsley. Drives in the lane, puts it up. Rebound by Hancock for the Warriors. Galladay setting up the play. Gets it back over to Wesley. Drives in, puts it up, and gets the foul. Oh, Wesley with it, and one. Bounces out, rebound. Goes in. Nice rebound by Claire Emerson, so it turns into a 4-point play. Grace gets it across to Emmy. Emmy bounces underneath to Finley, who puts it up for two. Near side, we see get all the way down to Wesley. Wesley back out to Galladay. Tries to get it underneath. Nice save. Out to Hancock, and Hancock drives in the lane but gets bumped, and there's a foul called. So it's the second team foul. Third personal foul for Finley Tim. And then they take a quick break right there. Again, say thank you. You can see all the sponsors in the upper left-hand corner of all of our activities, unless, for example, if you go over to watch wrestling, it's in the lower left-hand corner, just simply where the placement. They have in the new gym, they use the new gym for a wrestling tournament because it is much larger. They're able to accommodate more mats. They actually have 4 mats going at once. And so 2 mats dedicated to JV and 2 mats for varsity. So you can follow along over there on also bsdnlive.com. Click on the Wahoo link. Or you can go directly to Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, Saunders County Online YouTube, to be a part of all of that. Warriors looking to cut into the lead a bit here. Inbound, gets it out to Galladay, to Hancock on the near side, passes underneath, goes all the way to the far side to Galladay. Wesley, wide open, could have taken the 3, so Hancock decides to go for it. It rims out. Rebound by Emmy Tim, and it gets pushed out of bounds, so it goes to the Eagles. So that is the first personal foul. First team foul, second personal foul for Claire Emerson. Emmy inbounds to Grace. Comes crossed over to Lauren Pittman. Pittman sends it forward. Back over to Pittman, takes a 3, and there's nothing but net on that one. Galladay sends it forward, gets it over to Emerson. Emerson has the ball stolen away by Emmy. And as Tim goes up to put it in, she gets fouled, and that is going to be the second team foul. I think that's the third personal foul now. Yeah, it is, for Claire Emerson. So Emmy Tim at the foul line. First attempt is no good. Macy Wolf goes in for Arlington. Greg goes in for the Warriors. Greg with a rebound. Second attempt no good. Hands it off to Galladay. Galladay sends it to the near side to Wesley. Wesley gets it top over to Edie. Edie to Hancock. Hancock picks up after a dribble. Bounce to underneath to Wesley, who's able to put it up and in. 14-9, Eagles ahead. Inbound goes to Ainsley Wolf. Slows it down. Waiting for numbers. Pass over to Pittman. Pittman, bounce pass underneath to Grace. Grace back out to Green Adams. That three-pointer is good. Galladay drives in the lane, back out to Wesley. Wesley looking to drive for help, gets it back over to Edie. Edie underneath to Greg. Greg puts it up and doesn't go in, but rebound. Back out to Galladay. Galladay takes the shot, three-point shot, and that is good. Off the backboard. Emmy driving right into the lane up against Tim, and should be. So Greg gets called for the foul. Goaltending there, so that puts Emmy Tim back to the free throw line. She is 0 for 2 so far. Greg's second personal foul. First attempt is good. So she's at 33% right now for her free throws. A few player changes for the Warriors. We'll get to it as we figure out as the play goes. Second one rims out. Rebound by Mollander. Mollander sends it forward to Edie. Edie passes it over to Smart. Smart back over. Gets it underneath. As Edie passes underneath, and the pass gets caught up into a jump ball. Wahoo, it's Wahoo basketball. Galladay to inbound. Comes back around to Mollander. Mollander and get it back underneath. Back over to Smart for the three. And that is good. 15-18, bring it within 3. Warriors battling back. Pittman looking to drive, getting a lot of attention by Galladay. Pittman picks it up, hands it over to Edie. Or Emmy. Emmy puts it up and in for 2. Galladay drives. Come across the near side. Gets it over to Smart. Smart moves to the top of the key. Goes in the lane. Puts it up. And knocked away by Wolf, but called the foul. So that's the third team foul and the first personal foul for Macy Wolf. And that is sending Addie Smart to the free throw line. First attempt is up, and that is good. Nothing but net. So it looks like Wesley came in and replaced Lacey. Second attempt, and that one bounces around, drops in, good. It's a 3-point game again. Emmy for the Eagles. Bounce pass underneath. Goes to Pittman. Pittman sends it all the way to Grace. Back to the top to Pittman. Pittman calling the play, looking for a screen. Back over to Emmy. Puts it up and is able to get it to drop in. Back to a 5-point game. Galladay calls it and sends it over to Wesley. Wesley underneath to Edie. Back over to Galladay. Takes the 3. Rims out. That looked really good, though. But it only counts if it goes in. Not sure if that would have been. Yep. So there's a double dribble there that I think she got away with and then ended up getting called for the foul. So that's a 4th team foul. Turnover to the Warriors. Now we have Edie inbound, gets it in to Galladay. Galladay to Wesley. Wesley sends it across to Molander. Molander to Galladay. Molander now has it at the top of the key. Back to Galladay. Galladay drives in. Back to Wesley. Wesley to Galladay. Hancock. Hancock takes the three. That's off the mark and just not able to be saved. Turns over to the Eagles. 2:21 left of the half. 5-point lead for the Eagles. Warriors have really cut that one down. Gracie Wolf with the ball. Sends it, tries to send it forward. Hancock able to get a hold of it, so turnover to the Warriors. Galladay to Wesley. Wesley sends it over to Hancock. Hancock on the near side to Galladay at the top underneath. Not able to hold on to it, but nice turnover and able to grab it. Edie with a 2. Emmy sends it forward. Pittman gets it over to Macy Wolf. Puts it in for 2. Comes over to Wesley on the near side. Back to Galladay at the top of the key. Warriors looking to set things up. Wesley back over to Hancock on the far side. Underneath to Molander. Back out to Galladay. He takes the 3. And the rebound is taken by Edie. Back over to Wesley, who takes the 3. That one rims back out. And battling for the rebound. Penalty gets called against Karen Edie. So both teams have 4 team fouls. Gracie Wolf now comes to the near side, looking across the line. And now that was a turnover. And the Eagles take a 30-second timeout. Coming back out of the timeout, the Eagles called that. Leading by 5, 24-19, as we just have less than 1 minute, 57.6 seconds left of the first half. Warriors will get to inbound. Oh, no, it is the Eagles' ball. So Macy Wolf inbounds to Emmy. Double team and jump ball stripped away by Galladay, but the jump ball possession arrow goes to the Eagles. Emmy inbounds to Macy. Macy gets it over to Pittman. Pittman to Emmy. Pittman now with the ball back out to Ainsley. Wolf takes the 3 and is out of bounds off of the Eagles. .34 seconds left. Inbound to Galladay. Galladay gets across the timeline. Sends it to Hancock in the near side. Hancock into Molander. Back to Galladay. Hancock takes the 3 from the near side, and that is undershot, but right there was Karen Edie with the rebound. 3-point game going, 12 seconds left. Gets underneath. And called for the travel. They had got it to Grayson Adams, and she ended up getting called for the travel. And so with 5 seconds left, the Warriors have one shot to tie this up or make it closer before halftime. And with that, but time runs out. Stolen away by the Eagles. Time ran out. And that puts us at halftime. 21-24, Eagles leading. We'll go ahead and say thank you to all the sponsors. You can see them in the upper left-hand corner as well. But before we take a break ourselves, let's say thank you. The game sponsor tonight is Woodsmith Builders. So thank you to them. If you're out and about and you see them, say thank you very much for being a part of the broadcast, the activities department, and the Booster Club. I also want to say thank you to JEO Consulting, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and Passenger Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction.
Number 23 and number 3. Congratulations.
Welcome back as we are about to start the second half. It is varsity basketball. Girls varsity taking on Wahoo Warriors, taking on the Arlington Eagles. 3 points separates the two. Eagles had a big jump as they were 9-0 at the beginning, and then the Warriors have battled back quite a bit. So going into the second half, the Warriors get the ball inbound to Galladay. Galladay sets it up, goes over to Wesley on the far side, underneath to Edie, who puts it up and in for two. Now it's a 1-point game. Timmy sends it across over to to Ainsley Wolf. Ainsley drives, gets it across the timeline. Looking for help, gets it back over to Tim, to Ainsley. Ainsley, the inbound is received by Wesley for the Warriors. Hands off to Galladay. Galladay setting up the play to Wesley on the near side. Wesley underneath to Edie. Edie sends it back to Hancock for the three. Just a little hard. And the rebound is jump ball, and possession arrow goes to the Eagles. Coming back out of the break, Warriors looking to battle back and make sure they take care of business here. So Macy Wolf with the ball. Picks it up, sends it all the way down to the near corner. Has Finley Tim, sends it across, put up by Ainsley Wolf for three. Back to a 4-point lead. Galladay gets it in underneath to Emerson. Emerson drives, sends it back over to Galladay. Galladay back to the top to Edie. Edie to Hancock on the far side. Looked at the three, back to the top for Emerson. Galladay now driving in, puts it up, goes out off of a block from Wolf. Stays Warrior ball. 9 seconds left of the shot clock. Galladay with the inbound. Sends it all the way back to Emerson. Emerson gets the screen, drives in, puts it up, and draws the foul on the way in. So that is the first team foul and the second personal foul for Macy Wolf. So Claire Emerson at the free throw line for two. First attempt is up and rims back out. So close. Second attempt up. That is good. Back to a 3-point lead for the Eagles. Emmy Tim gets it back over to Finley. Finley drives across the top of the key. Back to Emmy. Emmy loses control of it. Picked up by Wesley. Goes in. Bounce pass underneath. Battle for a lost ball is won by the Eagles as a penalty is called against Karen Eady, the first team foul for the period. Inbound to Macy. Macy gets across the timeline. Comes to the near side. Gets bumped as she changes direction. Call is against Edie again. That's her third personal foul, second team foul. So we see Greg comes in for Edie and Smart comes in for Wesley for the Warriors. Inbound to Emmy. Emmy drives in. Ends up getting called as a jump ball. And that was clean. I didn't see any other contact other than the ball there, but of course, Can review the tape on that one, but the officials call. As we play on, now we see Galladay looking for help. Gets it over to Hancock on the near side, who takes the three, and it is off the back of the backboard. Galladay gets it back out to Smart. Smart back to Greg. Greg to Galladay. Gets the screen and puts it up for three. That one is hard. And we see a nice pass up, but too hard rebound by Galladay. Galladay to Emerson. Emerson gets it over to Smart. Smart takes the three, and that one's off the mark. Picked up by Macy Wolf. Eagles possession. Passes underneath to Finley. Tim back out to Macy. Goes back to Finley on the far side. Finley drives in the lane. Looking for help. Passes it back out to Mincer. Mincer over to Macy, and that's one of those. It just hits right and sticks in the net. And that one is really stuck, so. That's the fourth time. And there we go. Spectator from the student section comes out and says, "Hey, let me take care of that for you." Eagles basketball. So Macy Wolf with the inbound gets it over to Ainsley. Ainsley back out to Macy. Macy gets it all the way across over to Finley. Finley bounce pass underneath to Mincer. Draws the foul. And so that is the second personal foul for Galladay. Third team foul. Macy to inbound. And three-point shot. Was off the mark. Rebound by Mincer and goes off her foot out of bounds. And you can see the frustration of her face right there. Emerson inbounds to Galladay. Galladay sends to the near side to Wesley. Wesley drives across the top of the key. Tries to pass it in. Can't get it across Macy. Macy gets to Emmy. Back to Macy. Macy underneath to Finley. He tries to put it up. Not able to get it to connect. Rebound by Galladay for the Warriors. Galladay's to Wesley on the near side. Wesley picks it up, hands it off to Smart, and then to Emerson. Emerson drives in, puts it up. Now it's a 1-point lead for the Eagles. Emmy Tim drives in the lane, puts a jumper up, and that is off the mark. Rebound by Mincer. Tries to go up and draws the foul. Greg is going to get called for that foul. So that's the fourth team foul. And third personal foul for Greg. Mincer, 2 attempts at the free throw line. First one. That is up, and that is no good. A little too hard off the back of the rim. So Hancock comes in, replacing Wesley. Next one. That one rims out, and that is rebounded by the Warriors. Smart gets it off to Galladay. Galladay across the timeline. Sets up the play. Goes near side to Hancock. Hancock gets it in underneath to Mollender, who is able to put it up. Or actually, no, that was Emerson. And now it's Mollander, so let's see, that could have been. You see, jump ball as Hancock goes against Ainsley Wolf, and Warriors now get the ball on the jump. Possession now favors the Warriors. Inbound to Galladay. Galladay picks up and sends across to Hancock on the near side. Hancock back to Galladay. Galladay looking for help, but Hancock moved on the far side, gets it in underneath to Emerson. Emerson back out to Hancock underneath. A three-point shot by Galladay, but the rebound was no good by Smart. Rebound by Emmy. Emmy gets it into Grace. Grace passes it underneath to Rogers, who ends up sliding out of bounds. Turnover back over to the Warriors. Warriors now with a 28-27 lead. 2:03 left of the third period. Wesley back in, replacing Smart. Galladay passes it to Hancock. Hancock gets in the near corner. Back out to Hancock, three-point, or Galladay with a three-point attempt. Wolf picks it up, looking for help. Gets it over to Emmy. Emmy back to Macy. Three-point attempt off mark, goes out of bounds. Turnover back to the Warriors. Minute 30 left of the third period. Emerson to inbound to Galladay. Galladay sends it to Wesley on the near side. Wesley gets it all the way across to Hancock on the far side. Galladay with a three, and it's a long three, nothing but net. Extends the lead 31-27. Big pass on the inbound. As Grayson Adams just loses a bit of control of it and stepping in to try to steal it. Galladay knocks it out of bounds and stays with the Eagles. So that was a lucky break for them on that one. Macy, inbound. Gets it in underneath to Emmy. Goes out of bounds, but stays as an Eagle ball. Macy passes it out to Finley Tim. Gets it underneath to Emmy. Emmy with the reverse layup, able to drop it in. 31-29, two-point lead for the Warriors. Hancock on the far side, Galladay on the top. Wesley on the near side, underneath to Emerson. Emerson back out to Galladay. Galladay sends it across. Three-point by Wesley. It's off the mark. Rebound. Back across. Galladay picks it up, sends it to Hancock on the far side. Galladay at the top of the key. Wesley on the near side. 21 seconds. Shot clock and the regular clock kind of matching up here. So looking to set up the last shot of the period. 4 seconds left. Open up a long three, and at the buzzer just off the mark. But the Warriors turn things around coming into the second half, now leading by 2, 31-29. Let's Let's go ahead and say thank you to all the sponsors. You see them in the upper left-hand corner. Tonight's game sponsor is Woodsmith Builders. We also want to say thank you to all of the sponsors, part of the Warrior Booster Club, JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate Tammy Bennett, Sid Dillon, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Well, we're about to start the fourth period. And again, a big battle back and forth as, again, we saw the Eagles jump to a 9-0 lead, and the Warriors digging themselves out, getting to within 2 going into halftime, and now leading by 2. They led as much as 5 going into the fourth period, 31-29. And Eagles get to inbound. Macy inbounds all the way across to the near side to Finley Tim. Finley tries to feed it in, but it's taken away by Galladay with the assist of Emerson. Back to Galladay at the top, near side to Wesley. Wesley drives in, backs back out to Edie. Edie to Galladay. Galladay to Emerson. Emerson to Hancock. Hancock back to Edie. Edie passes it to Wesley. Wesley drives in, goes up and gets the foul. So she gets to go to the free throw line. That's the first team foul. And then we have the second personal foul for Ainsley Wolf. The free throw line is where the Warriors have come back a lot. First attempt is a little long, bounces out. Second attempt is up, and that is good. So a three-point shot would tie it up. Emmy Tim on the attack, drives in. The pass was knocked away. Great hands by Karen Edie to knock that one. Ended up going out of bounds, but you see the fire is there for the Warriors. Emmy with the ball at top of the key. Bounce pass underneath and stolen. Breakaway by Edie, who puts it up and in. 7 minutes left, 34-29. Macy with the ball. Slows down. Gets it across the timeline over to Ainsley. Ainsley now comes across into the lane, picks it up, looking for up. Double dribble. Called for the double dribble on that one, so turnover to the Warriors. 34-29. Galladay at the top of the key. Sends it to Hancock. Hancock back to Galladay. Galladay to Wesley on the right side. Gets it in underneath to Edie, puts it up for 2. Inbound to Ainsley Wolf. Gets across the timeline. Picks up, looking for help, not finding it. And timeout is called by the Eagles. 6:07 left of the game, 36-29. Warriors have taken the lead. Again, we want to say thank you to all the sponsors who are part of the Wahoo Athletic Booster Club and bringing us all the activities. Tonight's game sponsors, Woodsmith Builders. So if you see them, stop by, say thank you very much. Also want to say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. I want to say thank you to the music boosters as they are handling concession. Help keep me hydrated. Wrestling meet is going on. The girls, Wahoo Girls Wrestling Invite is going on at the same time in the main gym. That's why we are in the old main gym, which is now the middle school gym for Wahoo. Macy inbounds to Emmy. Emmy sends across to Finley. Finley looking for help. Guarded by Galladay. Saves it out of bounds. Picked up by Smart. Smart drives in. Able to get it across underneath. 3-point shot by Hancock is off the mark. Macy able to rebound for the Eagles. Sending it forward to Ainsley. Ainsley bounce pass underneath to Adams. Adams gets it across. Passes off the mark, but able to be picked up by Macy, who turned around and put the jumper up for two. 36-31, 5:19. Fourth period. Smart on the far side, back to Galladay at the top of the key. Gregg on the near side. All the way around to Hancock. Hancock passes it over to Galladay. Galladay gets it to Emerson. Back out to Galladay. Galladay at the top of the key, passes to Emerson. Opened up the lane. Hancock looked at the three but did not take it. Smart on the near side. 5 seconds left. Underneath to Gregg. Turnaround jumper. And that is off the mark. Rebound by the Eagles. Ainsley Wolf takes it all the way to, and then gets it over to Finley Tim. Finley underneath pass. And that one is rebound by Gregg. Sent forward. Smart on the way, but the ball was knocked away by the Eagles. So, still remains the Warrior ball. They did to inbound at their own baseline. Hancock gets it over to Edie. Edie sends it out. Wesley. The pass in underneath to Edie. Draws the foul. So that is the second team foul. Second personal foul for Tim. Bounce pass underneath. Gets out to Wesley. Nice save. 3-point shot by Galladay. As they come out of that one, rebound, and everybody's got moving and legs got tangled, and penalty called against the Warriors. It's the fourth personal foul by Claire Emerson. So Emerson comes out. She is replaced by Mollender. Eagles with the inbound. Warriors with a 36-31 lead, 4:15 left of the game. Inbound goes forward to Ainsley Wolf. Ainsley Wolf is stripped away. Warriors with the ball now. Galladay on the near side. Gets it over to Edie. Edie drives in, puts it up, comes out, tries to get her own. Not able to get the rebound. Rebound goes to the Eagles. Ainsley gets across the timeline. Top of the key. Goes to the near side to Macy. Macy gets it underneath, but pass is deflected. Picked up by Smart. She holds back, gets it over to Galladay. Galladay sets up the top of the key. Galladay gets it to the near side to Edie. Back to Smart. Smart gets to Wesley. Wesley's on the far side. Top of the key is Edie. Edie with the ball. Looking to pass. Pass it over to Smart on the left side. Drives in, puts it up, and does not drop in, but draws the foul. So she gets to go to the free throw line for 2. So that's the third team foul and second personal foul for Lauren Pittman. Addie Smart, first attempt is up. Too hard, bounces back. Warriors with a 5-point lead. Smart's second attempt, and that is good. Smart comes out. Hancock comes in. Emmy Tim to inbound, gets it to Macy Wolf. Back to Tim. Tim gets the clear, he drives in the lane. And takes a few steps there, but is able to drop it in for 2. Galladay gets it to the far side to Wesley. Wesley sends it all the way across to Hancock. Hancock takes the 3. That one rims out, but the rebound was by Emerson. Battle ends up going out of bounds, and they call it an Eagle ball. And with that, Eagles take a timeout. 37-33, 2:46 left of the game. Been a big battle as we've seen both teams with pretty decent leads, battling and digging back and forth. You can watch all of the Warriors activities on bsdnlive.com by clicking on the Wahoo Warriors link, or you can go to Saunders County Online YouTube, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, 99.3 FM, Saunders County Online, and wahooradio.com. Now, going through bsdnlive.com, this is the second time this week, though, that we've seen the, actually, they played last week at DC West. That was a tough game there for them, as we do bring coverage for the Falcons as well your way. Well, coming out of the timeout, it's the Eagles basketball. 2:46 left of the period of the game. Emmy Tim to inbound. Bounces pass to Macy Wolf. Back to Emmy. Emmy drives in, gets the top of the key. Macy on the three-point line, looking for help. Back over to Emmy. Emmy. Looking to drive in. Looking for the screen, not able to get it. Drives in the lane, sends it all the way across to Finley. Going in, does not connect, but Macy was able to get the rebound and put it up for 2. 2 points separates the teams. 2 minutes left. Sends it all the way across. Wesley gets it to Galladay. Galladay back over to Edie. Edie gets it underneath and to Emerson, who puts it up. Doesn't get it to drop, but gets the foul. It's a 4th team foul, 3rd personal foul for Ainsley Wolf. So Claire Emerson at the free throw line. First attempt is up, and that is good. Grayson Adams comes in for the Eagles. Second attempt is short. Rebound by Macy Wolf. Eagles down by 3. Warriors leading. Passes over to Emmy Tim. Calling the play at the top of the key. Gets the screen, sends it all the way across. As we see, Ainsley puts it up. Rebound is by the Warriors. Edie gets it across the timeline. And with that, the Warriors call the timeout. Let's go ahead and say thank you to all the sponsors again, part of our broadcast. Tonight's game sponsors, Woodsmith Builders. We also want to say thank you to all the sponsors, part of the Wahoo Warrior Athletic Boosters, JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Sid Dillon of Wahoo again, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Well, coming out of the timeout, the Warriors with the timeout, and they have the ball. Minute 24 left. Wesley to inbound. Gets it into Hancock on the near side. Hancock to Galladay. Galladay sends it to Wesley on the left side, back to Emerson. Emerson gets over to Galladay, back to Edie. Edie drives in and draws the foul. So I believe that is the fifth. That's the fifth team foul for the Eagles, and that puts them into bonus. Puts the Warriors into bonus territory. So sending Karen Edie to the free throw line. The first attempt is good. 4-point lead now. Minute 7. It's times like this that those free throws make the big difference. Second one is up and rims around and drops in. 5-point lead for the Warriors. Emmy Tim driving in. Here's the ball and ends up getting, as it's on the ground before it goes out of bounds. Eagles call the timeout. So Amy loses control of it, diving after it. Macy saves it, but both on the ground, so the timeout gets called. We'll take a quick break ourselves right here on WDCNEmedia.com, Saunders County Online YouTube, Wahoo Public Schools YouTube, and 99.3 FM, WahooRadio.com. Thank you for being a part of our broadcast. All right, we're coming out of the timeout. And so, Eagles with the ball, trailing by 5, 54.5 seconds left of the game. This has been a tough battle all the way through. Looks like we have Ainsley Wolf to inbound. Nope, Ainsley Wolf receives it. Hands over to Emmy. Emmy looked at the three. Now looking for help. Gets it over to Finley. Underneath to Macy. Macy drives and drops it in for two. Galladay drives across the timeline. And reaching in, we see another foul called, and that is the third personal foul for Emmy Tim. And the Warriors are already in the bonus. Aaron Galladay's first attempt is good. (41-37). And the next one, and that puts it back to a 5-point lead. Emmy Tim gets it across the timeline at top of the key. Looking for help, sends it to the near side. Back over to Emmy. Emmy driving in the lane, puts it up, but draws the foul. So that's the second team foul for the Warriors. First personal foul for Wesley. But it was before the shot was made, so it's an inbound foul. Inbound to Ainsley Wolf. Ainsley looking for help. Passes, gets it underneath to Finley. Macy tries to get it up and around. Rebound. Rebound was by Claire Emerson. She hands it off to Erin Galladay, who then gets fouled, and so she is going back to the free throw line with 4.3 seconds left. 42-37. Galladay's first attempt in that one is just too hard, bounces back out. .3 seconds left after this. Warriors just looking to not foul, just get the clock going. And so there we go, 44-37. Inbound back to Macy. Macy. And the desperation shot hits and bounces around, but bounces out. Would have been a nice shot there at the end, but that's the completion of the game. Warriors win 43-37. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of all of our broadcasts. Congratulations to the Warriors. Thank you to Arlington Eagles coming out and putting up such a fantastic game for us. And let's say thank you to the sponsors one more time, as tonight's game sponsors, Woodsmith Builders. Also want to say thank you to JEO, Wahoo State Bank, First Bank of Nebraska, Saunders Medical Center, Wahoops, Union Bank and Trust, Woodsmith Builders, Simon's Home Store, and Retire Path Advisors, Sid Dillon of Wahoo, Titles, Wahoo Dental Associates, Saunders County Chiropractic and Acupuncture, Rivalry, Berkshire Hathaway Ambassador Real Estate, Tammy Bennett, Hardy Acres, Wahoo Concrete, Edward Jones, Josh Kruger, Shutt Electrical and Contracting, and Tim and Seth Molly Construction. Next, we will continue with wrestling coverage. That'll be wrapping up. The girls will be wrapping up if they haven't already. And then coming up tomorrow, a boys wrestling invite. You can watch that right here as well. Thank you, everybody. We will be back with more coverage on WDC